Hello, my name is Nico. I am an International Relations Officer at the Namibia University of Science and Technology, and I will spend a few short minutes to tell you a little bit about the history of Namibia. So, the history of Namibia speaks to a narrative of survival, resistance, and triumph. So, from the footprints of the ancient San hunters to a modern democratic state, Namibia's story is one of resilience of its people and the profound challenges that have shaped the nation. So in terms of its early history, archaeological evidence suggests that human beings have been found in Namibia as far back as 20,000 years, with the San believed to be the earliest inhabitants and living as hunter-gatherers in that time. Evidence of the settlement of the San in prehistoric or early Namibia can be found in the very intricate rock engravings and rock paintings found at Twyfelfontein and Brandberg, the former being a UNESCO World Heritage Site. From about 500 to 1000 CE, Bantu-speaking communities migrated to Namibia, bringing with them agriculture and metalworking. Amongst these groups were the Ovambo, Herero, or Vahimba, and they then laid the seeds for what is today Namibia's very rich cultural heritage. By the 15th century, European explorers had arrived on Namibian shores, the first being the Portuguese Diego Chao, who arrived in 1486. He set foot at what is now known as Cape Cross, being about 120 kilometers north of Swakopmund. The Portuguese were, however, focused on coastal navigation, and so they did not really explore the Namibian interior at all. This came in a little bit later, in the period of German colonialism in Namibia, and this ranges from 1884 to 1915. So in 1884, German Chancellor Otto von Bismarck annexed the territory after a German trader, Adolf Luderitz, bought land from the local Orlam chief. The territory was then named German Southwest Africa, and the German colonial policies prioritized resource extraction, including diamonds and other minerals. In January of 1904, things took a turn for the worst as the Herero people, led by Samuel Maherero, and the Nama, led by Captain Hendrik Witbooi, rebelled against German colonial rule, and they attacked and killed about 100 German settlers in the area of Okahanya, about 60 to 100 kilometers north of Windhoek. So this set in motion the events that would culminate in a campaign of ethnic extermination and collective punishment against the Herero and the Nama by the German Empire. And it is estimated that between 24,000 and 100,000 Herero and approximately 10,000 Nama were killed in what is today known as the 20th century's first genocide. After the period of German colonialism came the period of South African rule and apartheid. And so from 1914 to 1915, South African soldiers invaded and captured Southwest Africa as part of the World War I conquest for German colonies in Africa. And after World War I, Southwest Africa was placed under a South African mandate or South African administration as part of a League of Nations mandate. South Africa administered the territory from 1915 to 1978 and occupied the country from 1966 to 1990. During this time, South Africa implemented apartheid laws in Namibia, segregating communities on the basis of race and disenfranchising the majority of the population. Under the apartheid regime, land was confiscated from indigenous people and redistributed to white settlers, and thereby further entrenching inequality. The Namibians, of course, stood up in resistance against apartheid South Africa, and the most prominent nationalist movement to emerge and mount a challenge to South African rule was the Southwest Africa People's Organization, known as SWAPO. SWAPO was formed in 1964 and sought to liberate Namibians from apartheid rule and establish a free and independent Namibia. In 1966, SWAPO established the People's Liberation Army of Namibia and commenced an armed insurrection that would result in a 24-year fight for independence. It was only in 1975, with Angola's independence, that SWAPO was able to gain better supply lines and could then mount a significant guerrilla warfare style operation into Namibia. In 1978, the South African Air Force attacked a Namibian refugee camp at Kasinga in southern Angola, killing 600 people and wounding thousands more. The massacre at Kasinga is considered a significant turning point in the war for Namibia, as the site was visited a few days after the attack by a UN delegation, and it drew international attention and condemnation. So as early as 1971, the UN declared South Africa's occupation of Namibia illegal, and it supported SWAPO as the legitimate representative of the Namibian people. Global pressure, combined with internal pressures and changes in South Africa as apartheid was weakening and starting to come to an end, led to negotiations between SWAPO and representatives of the South African government. And finally, Namibia gained its independence on 21 March 1990, with His Excellency Dr. Sam Nujoma then elected as the first democratic president of Namibia. Namibia adopted a democratic constitution which emphasizes equality amongst all citizens and places a strong focus on human rights. So in post-independence Namibia, the country has made significant achievements, but also faces some challenges. In terms of the achievements, Namibia has definitely become a stable democracy, and it is well known for conducting free and fair elections, and also it has a reputation for peaceful transitions of power. The country is well known for its stunning landscapes and natural beauty, and so attracts millions of tourists annually. Namibia is also a leader in the space of constituency-based or community-based tourism and conservation. The country's economy, while reliant on mining and agriculture, is diversifying to include renewable energy. Namibia is positioning itself as a regional player in Africa in green hydrogen, and the country benefits from a very stable and very advanced finance and banking sector. So despite the achievements that Namibia have made, the country faces a very high level of socioeconomic inequality and also unemployment. And of course, the legacy of land dispossession and disenfranchisement is still seen and felt everywhere in Namibia today. And efforts to address these include very deliberate land reform policies, as well as significant public spending in education, healthcare, and housing. So lastly, in conclusion, Namibia's history is testament to the resilience of its people. From the ancient traditions to modern nationhood, Namibia has overcome immense challenges to emerge as a beacon of hope in southern Africa.